Yeah, I got it. দেখো 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 ছবি দেখাচ্ছি।
Photographers, they never show you the missed shots, and in this video what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through our 2 days of shooting in Dhaka and just kind of help you see how I dig through them and just find the few that really matter. When we got to Dhaka, we went, or the first day we were shooting there, we were actually in the old market area. And of course this gentleman right here with his coconuts was pretty interesting to get some photos of. But there, I'm always looking for some great shots, and the challenge with being there is it's so busy. There's so much going on, and you can take a mountain of images, but I need to really kind of focus on those ones that are going to be really important to me. And my style of shooting is I like environmental portraits. So this is one here that I think worked out pretty well also. So just looking for things like this. And sometimes I just am shooting too much. Maybe I'm shooting to get a shot of someone, looking at me like this, but then this guy was in the foreground, so that didn't work out. Of course, this guy was enjoying being photographed. And this one right here kind of is really good at telling the story, right? And I think this is my favorite on that particular opportunity as well. So we were just kind of wandering, and the one challenge I had was I was using a neutral density filter on my camera. I had a variable neutral density because I actually wanted to shoot a lot of video. And the problem was I left that on a lot, and I was shooting auto ISO, and well, it messes up things. It makes, the ISO has to bump up quite a bit. Sometimes I had my f-stop set incorrectly. I mean, I don't know what I was doing. I don't even know what mode I was shooting in. I normally like to shoot in aperture priority, but for example, this one was shot at f/18, 3200 ISO with 1/50 of a second. So not a good shot, but the next shot I kind of like. So sometimes those accidents work out pretty well. Not sure what was going on here. Lots of photos there as well. And I was trying to get a good shot of this lady, but right here, but it just wasn't working for me. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. And I think it was her expression more than anything. Maybe she's just kind of bored with photographers being around all the time. But then Akash ran into this lady that he knows, and I should back up, GMB Akash. Look him up on Instagram and also on YouTube and Facebook. And he runs workshops in Dhaka. And Linda, my girlfriend, actually gave me this workshop. And I was so thrilled to be able to do this with him. And so he was setting up the opportunity for us to shoot with this lady. Her home, my recollection was it's over 300 years old where she lives, and her family's lived there forever. And such a great colors with these blues and what she was wearing. And I was just thrilled to shoot with her. I really like this photo, maybe a little bit too bright in the background and that little breezeway there, but kind of cropping in a little bit, and then the shoes in the foreground don't work very well here because they're kind of cut off. However, I like this shot. It all kind of came together, and I would probably bring this down a little bit with like a radial gradient and kind of edit that a little bit differently. But a lot of these I've kind of played with and edited them. I like to step back after I actually take a trip. I'll step back maybe a month or so and not even look at the photos, and then I will look at those later. And but a few of these right here, I do like. I like this. Maybe this is a little bit warm. Maybe on the tone, the white balance, I can change that a little bit. And just so you know, too, I shoot raw images, NEF files, the Nikon NEF format. I think a lot of people get confused with raw versus just an unedited JPEG. My suggestion is that you shoot raw, and I'll give you a good example of why a little bit later here in the video, where you have such a good latitude of like exposures that you can adjust. You have a lot of different stops that you can go if the image is too dark, for example. So anyway, just kind of a fun thing. This image or this guy right here, I thought it was really interesting as well. There's people walking in front, and I thought, okay, that's kind of cool. But then we've got this water bottle there. We've got all these plastic bags, and I didn't like that. So what I did do is I had Akash ask him to take the water bottle and move it. But then I got a little closer, and this is a shot that I really like. So, a lot of times you have to be, shoot with intention and think about what you're doing. And I think this one worked really well. Again, just, a guy on the street in Dhaka. So there you go. And I'll just kind of buzz through these because I do have a lot of photos, but I just want to share some of my favorites. This guy right here, I don't know, I was kind of compelled to take photos of him. He's got, I'm not sure what he's even doing right here, but he looked like, okay, and there's another photographer. I'm not sure what he was thinking, but I do like this here. And I like the layering as well. You got the guy on the right here, you got this lady here as well on the left. And I don't know, just something about it. I think it turned out quite well. So, another fun shot. And let's see, let me look on this. The depth of field, 6.3, ISO 1250, 1/200th of a second. And I like to shoot, whenever I do portraits, I like to be at least like 5.6, because if I'm doing portraits of people, and I'll show you this. Well, in fact, we can go back to this lady right here real quick. You'll notice that her nose is just a tad bit out of focus, but most of her is in focus here. Like right there, you can see a little bit out of focus, but then her eyes and her ear and stuff. So I want to make sure that I'm able to get everything kind of in focus in her face. A lot of times people like to shoot at like f1.8, 2.8, 1.4. I know some people do that as well. And I like to just do like 5.6 and maybe 6.7, maybe even f8. Also, I like to zoom in and kind of crop the background, or compress the background rather. So this shot right here was shot at, let me see and go all the way down here. Where is that? It's was shot at with my 24 to 120, and this one was shot at 80 millimeters. I also have an 80 millimeter lens, or 85 millimeter portrait lens I like to use. I didn't pull it out on this particular photo. I probably should have. I had it with me, but I still think this turned out good. All right, let's just kind of cruise through here some of these. This one too, it's always fun to catch emotion. So yeah, it's kind of an okay photo. But these are the ones, like this one right here. This is what I really like to get. So when you capture that emotion like that, it's always a lot of fun. And again, more street photography. This gentleman right here, I, this shot's okay, but I don't really care for, his reaction. But then I like this one. So he's kind of smiling a little bit more, smiling with his eyes. And I think this all came together just fantastic. Superb. Kind of just shows I'm a guy in the market. I might want to bring this down a little bit here on the whites. Sometimes white can make your eyes go, to that area in the frame. So it's kind of good to, maybe darken that up just a tad bit. So we were then walking, and we saw this breezeway. It wasn't a breezeway. It's the entrance to an apartment, I think. And this is where people live. And there were some ladies in here, and this was really a lot of fun. So at first I was trying to get some photos from down below and shooting up, but it wasn't really working. So I said, hey, let's go upstairs, because they had an upstairs area. So we did that, and let me just show you the photo I got that I really like. And that was this one right here. So just shot on the opposite end of her. And then there was another lady in here as well. And these are kind of fun. I just think they turned out good. This right here in the center where these lines cross, it's okay on this photo, but I'll show you that there's another one, this lady right here. She's a little bit shorter, so I don't think it worked out very well. Honestly, with AI, I could probably take these out. It might be a little bit better. I don't like to use AI. I like to keep everything just the way it was shot, maybe clean up some things. I'll clean up, little things here and there, but this one might be a little bit more work than it's worth. But I do like the photo. Here's another shot right here. So all these textures on the walls and all this that's going on right here is quite interesting as well. So we just kind of continue through here, and another gentleman just walking, and we asked him to get in that little breezeway there, and able to get a good photo also. So let me share another favorite. So this barbershop. Dhaka is so interesting because it's so dirty. I shouldn't say dirty, it's not the word. It's so gritty, and there's a lot going on there. And, it's just like hundreds of years this place has just been active with, like, especially Old Dhaka. And this barber, he was smoking, and I said, oh, can we get him to take a drag on his cigarette? And I was just trying to get that perfect shot. And I think I got that one right there. I think that one turned out good. And you kind of see I already edited this, but you can see everything that's going on here. The only thing is the plastic bag right there. Again, those always bug me, but just kind of the way of the world today. Masks and plastic bags, those bother me. One thing I really liked was these guys, these shopkeepers. I thought this was a really, really good photo as well. He's just looking straight at me, and I always like these shopkeepers. And just kind of scrolling through some of these because I want to be, conscious of your time. This one I really like, and let me just show you, how editing can make a big difference. So if you look at, this is the raw image that I shot. It was a little underexposed, but then I was able to clean it up. And if you go into camera raw here, you can see that it's almost 2.5 stops, 2.3 stops. And boy, what a great shot that is. Oops. Again, the ISO was pretty high. That was my mistake. We all make mistakes, but anyway. But you can see the difference in like shooting a raw image versus shooting a standard image. All right, next up, boy, this gentleman, he was so interesting to photograph. So we were walking through another little breezeway, and this was their house. I mean, it was maybe like 10 by 15 feet. Inside, this is their bed, and then that wall just, there to the right is, the extent of the length of the where they live, and then it's about 15 feet total on the from behind me to the wall that's behind him. And his beard is red, so my understanding is the Prophet Muhammad would use henna to color his beard, and so a lot of people in honor of that's what they do there as well. And so this photo just turned out so good, and I was just so thrilled with it. If you look, I'm going to go into camera raw here again, and if you look at the before and after, you can see again shooting raw. That's just the raw image out of the camera, and if that was a JPEG, it'd be hard to kind of bring that out. I think you get a lot more artifacts, and then that's it. I bumped up the contrast a little bit. Played around with the shadows, and I also used the medium contrast and the curves here just for the curves adjustment, and a little bit of vignetting as well. So I was able to get a lot of shots there. Linda was as well, and Akash, and that's their daughter who's going to college, and perhaps she's going to help them live a little bit better life. And so there's another good photo of them also. He's a little soft. I think it works out okay though. She's more in focus, and I obviously was focusing on her, and maybe I should change my depth of field a little bit. And then there's some other people here as well. The next up was a really cool market. They're selling poultry there, fish, vegetables. I mean, everything is in there, right? People walking through, and just so many interesting faces that I really enjoyed taking photos of, and they enjoyed us too. Everyone was really nice. And getting a little bit wider angle, trying to get that stuff in the foreground so you can see what's going on in the foreground. Again, I haven't edited this photo, but I think I can pull it up and do some pretty cool things with it. What's also interesting too is if you look at these people, how they cut the fish. They use these big knives, and there's some more images coming up right here that kind of shows their working conditions. Again, these guys are probably doing this for generations in their family, but look at everything that's going on right there as well. This is a one of my favorites also, and in fact, I don't know if I marked that a 5, but I will right now because I have edited that one. So again, photo op after photo op. These guys right here, maybe not the best image. I think I had a couple that were a little bit better of those guys. This guy, he's, showing off the chicken that the people chose, and then they're going to dispatch the chicken and they're going to eat it. I like this one too. This is another favorite. I think that's a 5. I probably already marked that a 5. Again, this is the poultry guy, and his beard, just the shape of it. He's not looking at me. I think that worked out also very well. Again, just kind of cruising through some of my favorites. But one thing I want to show you that's just kind of fun is this guy right here. So if you look at these images up above, it's pretty wide angle, right? I actually have a 10.5 millimeter lens. And the challenge with that is it's an old Nikon. It's not, it doesn't have autofocus. It doesn't work on the adapter for the Z lens adapter. So I have to manually focus it. But this guy was just walking by. So I was kind of like shooting, I mean, it's shooting lower than what I'm just, showing you. I was shooting kind of from the hip. And he didn't even know I took this photo, and I think it turned out pretty well. And this one would be cropped vertically. It would work out quite well as also. So again, Dhaka, you got to go. It's so cool. So just more and more photos. I know I said there's 2,200 images, and I'm just going to kind of just zip through some of these and just show you a couple more favorites. This was an area where they're reclaiming auto parts and things like that, using old inner tubes to make straps. We pose this kit up, where the tires are, and Akash is really good about that. So this photo, I think I like it. I wish his face wasn't covered up. This one, his face isn't covered up, but I like this one better than this one. And the reason is because if you look off to the left here, this guy, he's in the frame, the guy kind of looking right here. I'm a little bit closer, so getting a little bit dirtier and grittier, I guess you'd say. So yeah, I was really happy with how this shot came out as well. And then the other thing I like to do, and let's go through, we got a couple other portraits. I like to take pictures of people on buses. This lady, she was actually sleeping for a moment, maybe just resting her eyes, and then all of a sudden she realized that I was taking her photo, which was kind of funny. And this shot right here is the one I really like. You can't see that she's smiling with her mouth, but with her eyes she is. And I think that's when you can pull stuff like that out, I think it works out really well. Anyway, more images. Oh, this shopkeeper, I liked him. He spoke very good English. He said his daughter was going to school in the U.S. But I like he's kind of tallying up his receipts for the day. Like, this is probably my favorite one of that. That's definitely a 5-star. And so again, telling story I think is really important. And so more photos. Let me just kind of zip through here. And then we're on to the next day. This one right here is kind of cool. There's a lot of photo opportunities to get shots like this with the guys in the rickshaws. And again, that's kind of good storytelling. I think the lighting worked okay as well. And those guys don't make very much money. They make the equivalent of probably like 40, 50 cents, which isn't much. We then went to where these people were making clothing, and you did see this in the intro. This guy obviously sewing, and Bangladesh makes a lot of products for the U.S. H&M, Old Navy, places like that. Even I think Adidas, maybe Nike. I'm not sure on that, but a lot of children are working in these areas, and in America, we'd probably call them sweatshops, but the reality is, they're family-owned businesses for the most part. So the children help. If the children didn't help, maybe the family wouldn't survive. And perhaps they go to school as well. And I don't know all the stories of the children that you see here, but I'll just share with you my favorite photo. This young gentleman right here, and this is let me pull up this favorite shot right there. So I think that one worked really well. Again, he's not very old, and he's working, I assume, helping the family. Another great shot I like, I was talking about shopkeepers. I like to do, photos of shopkeepers. And this guy right here, look at, he's just smiling. He's, shining these shoes. He's got his tools down by his feet. The framing with the umbrella, the framing with everything around here. I just found it all interesting. And these are the kind of the photos I really live for whenever I do street photography. And I think it worked out quite well. All right, let me just share with you this shot. This guy, so he was in a truck, and the bottom of the window was pretty high, so I had to put my camera up and just take a shot. I wasn't even looking at my LCD, I don't think. And I took the photo, and he probably thought, what is going on right there? But I want to show you the latitude you can get whenever you shoot raw. So if you open up a camera raw here, uh, look at the difference between the original shot and this. So I was able to bump this up 2.5 stops. See that? See the difference right there, guys? So again, shoot raw. It gives you that ability to recover if you make mistakes. Because I make a lot of mistakes, and so sometimes I have to use software to recover from them, like I did right there. More gentlemen here that were putting onions on the trucks. And one thing I want to kind of share with you, one thing I like to do, I know it sounds kind of odd, but a lot of times people just get shots like this where they're just, horizontal, but I like to change my angle a little bit. I think it gives a little bit more power to it. And you can see, I think this one worked out quite well. Just a little bit different shot. You don't always have to go horizontal. So think about doing that. And there's a term for it. I forgot what it's called. Someone can probably link that down or comment to it, but there is a certain angle. There's a name for that.
Either.
I'm gonna go. I'm out of the way.
Order.
Wow. They are muscles, yeah. Wow. Wow, I got the sneezes. Oh man, it's tough. Spice market, onions. Oh, there's more going on there. Wow. How many can they get on there? Wow, impressive. A lot of, you notice how grainy this is? My fault, because that neutral density filter that I had, that I was shooting video with, because I shot a lot of video here, that was causing the problem, because I wouldn't take it off. I wasn't even thinking. I have auto ISO set up, so these could have been a lot better photos had I been thinking. So I got to take my time more. All right, more images, more images. Okay, we're keep going here, keep going. This is kind of a fun one. I like this. He had a nice little look here. And when he was serious, let's see. I think that's a kind of a good photo as well. Again, a lot going on there. These gentlemen, a lot of gentlemen, elderly that are working, they're carrying, 20, 30 kilograms on their heads, not making very much money when they do it. You can see there's a young boy that was actually, he was counting his money. He had been working that day doing the same thing. You can see what he carries on his head right there. But I want to show you let's get down here. I'm just going to kind of cruise through here and show you my favorite photo. So this lady was walking through the market, and I saw her, and I said, "Gosh, can we get a picture of her? I really want it." He had to almost run her down to chase her because she was just going through the market. She's going through quick, probably shopping. You see the money in her hand. And we said, "Hey, can we take a picture of you?" So we put her in this little breezeway area. Oh, sorry, I want to get some video here. She is absolutely stunning. She has a beautiful face. We gotta give her some money. Yeah. And just kind of set up. You can see how it is right here. And then this bag was a bit of a distraction, so I had her remove the bag, and I thought that worked out really well. And this is a good shot. But my favorite one is this one right here. And you think about Steve McCurry and the Afghan girl, and this is my Afghan girl photo. Her eyes are very intense, and I just really like how this all came together. So, story on her too was really interesting. So we asked her, "Hey, can we pay you?" She said, "No, you're my guest in my country. You can't pay me," and she wouldn't allow us to give her any money, which I thought was very interesting. Also, if you look at her hand too, I think she had smashed her hand at one time. It's somewhat disfigured, but I just think, she's got this beauty about her. Her everything is, her face is, popping out pretty good with everything around, with her scarf and her beautiful hair, the way it's done. And so thrilled with this shot. It's just one of those things that makes you feel really fortunate to get those good photos. So let's just continue down through these. Again, lots of interesting things going on. There was, Linda was doing a little shopping. She has a store that she was buying for herself. And then we got great little photos like this. And I love this one. I love that, just that little tooth hanging out. And I love how the green is, showing her face, and she's got a really interesting face. Dhaka is like this. There's just people with interesting looks everywhere. Again, it's just a great, fantastic place to shoot. And then we come to where the rickshaw drivers live. So this is kind of like they call it a rickshaw slum. I don't like to use that word, but I guess we'll just call it what it is. And the rickshaw drivers live here. And there was a lot of children here. And this girl, for example, was in the back of a rickshaw and using that as a frame to get some good photos. Then we have this lady right here. She was really nice about letting us take pictures. And then Linda was getting some good shots as well. And then there's this gentleman right here. So he, I thought he was really had an interesting look. And I was trying to get the shot kind of like straight on, but it wasn't working quite well. And then I was taking pictures of some children too. Like you can see these photos right here. They were next to the rickshaw. And then Akash had positioned him in a lot better position. And basically what he did is he just had him sit down, just squatted down a little bit. And look at these photos. So much better. This one's my favorite right here. And this is, a little bit of a distraction here with the garbage, but, that could be eliminated as well. All right. So, here's some video of the children. We're kind of getting some shots here.
Ashi.
The other ones were laughing a lot. But, and then we got the cat. There's a lot of cats there too. A lot of dogs as well. And then as we're getting towards the end, I like this photo right here. How this guy's looking at this lady and then the chicken. Just kind of a really neat shot as well. And there was Akash and Linda, and then we're pretty much done. I'm going to just show you one last photo here. So this one, this lady was, we positioned her right here in this little breezeway. And, that natural light coming in just worked out perfect. You can kind of see how this is a little bit darker. Again, shooting raw, but I was able to pull everything out. I vignetted a little bit. I increased the exposure, the contrast, a little bit of sharpness as well. And if I continue to work on this, which I think I will, because I really like this image of her, I'll brighten the eyes a little bit as well. So, that's pretty much, well, nope, not quite it. I want to talk about this. So this lady, she had her phone in her hand, and I got this shot, and it's like, I don't know if I want the phone in her hand, so can we remove the phone? And she handed it to somebody else. But then this is what her hand position wasn't very good. So I think ultimately this one worked a lot better. So my initial idea wasn't very good because, what does she do with her hand? And you can see Linda taking pictures of her here as well. And then finally, this is my final shot, and I think that's a good way to end this. Well, almost end it. I just want to go through real quickly. I'm just going to go through all my 5 stars, and we're just going to kind of just go through them. You can, reverse the video if you want to see them a little bit better. You've seen most of these. But I think all in all, it was really fruitful. We just enjoyed our time there in Dhaka, and we cannot wait to go back.
So that's the end. I hope you liked this video. It was a lot of fun to put this together. It's fun to go back through all the images, and I have a lot more. If you like this format and you'd like to see something like this again with some other photos I've taken on other places I've traveled and some other things I've shot, just leave a comment down below. It's fun to share this because a lot of times with photographers, we don't see anything but the best. And there's a lot of images that I didn't do a very good job on, and I'll admit that. And, we're always learning, and I think that's the most important thing. So, leave a comment, give a like, a share, maybe subscribe, and I'll try to do more of these. So thank you so much. My name is Terry, and I really appreciate you being on this video with me. Also down below, I'm going to link Akash's information. So if you want to do something in Dhaka like we did, you can contact him directly. All right. Happy shooting, guys. So this is a real traffic jam in front of us. These cars are not moving. Of course, they're not beeping their horns either. It goes all the way down.